Good morning, I'm Lauren Barnes. We are going live out to a press conference here in a few minutes at about 9 o'clock. But in the meantime, we want to bring you the latest new information we have on the tragic duck accident that happened at Table Rock Lake last night. The latest information we have is that 13 people are confirmed dead. That's from the Missouri State Highway Patrol. Also some new information. We're expecting Governor Mike Parson to be at this press conference here in just a couple minutes. To catch you up, though, what happened last night just after 7 p.m., a Ride the Ducks boat went underwater at Table Rock Lake due to the waves and severe weather. Of the 13 dead, we know children are among that number, though we don't know exactly how many right now. The Missouri State Highway Patrol divers have been searching this morning, and we believe there are 4 people that still remain missing. Also, the National Transportation Safety Board is now investigating what happened there last night. You can see that the NTSB is requesting any video or photos that people may have taken of that sinking boat. If you have that, email it to them at witness@ntsb.gov. And before we head out to that press conference, let's check in with Elisa for a look at your weather.
Good morning, Lauren. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in parts of northern Arkansas for Sharp, Stone, and Izard counties. This storm has 68-mile-per-hour winds and $1.25 to $1 size hail, so please seek shelter and stay away from windows. We've got a heat advisory in effect for the southern half of the area. That's where we'll get that heat index up to 110. 98 degrees today with afternoon storms and a severe risk.
All right, Elisa, thank you. And we're starting our team coverage now as a news conference is about to start here in just a couple minutes. Joe Moreno and Daniel Shedd have been in Branson most of the night and into this morning, and we believe that they have moved from the media staging location, which was at Table Rock Dam, to the Branson Bell parking lot. Joe, Daniel, is that right?
That's right, Lauren. That's where we were. That's last night, and then this morning we were elsewhere, and now we have been back into the Branson Bell parking lot. So just behind us, there's a little taped off area here, and we had some state reps actually go back here, and the search efforts are going on just behind us here. We just got some word maybe Governor Parson's back there as well right now.
Yeah, Governor Mike Parson will be here addressing the media, and really they're just the community. This has kind of been an outpouring of support really for the last 12 hours ever since this happened in Branson. You can imagine not only the community has been rallying, but we also have the governor now stepping in and wanting to get his statement out on the feelings here in Branson.
And we are waiting. Just to the left of us is a big media scrum going on right now. There's a podium out there. We're expecting that press conference just to get more of an update. Again, you just heard Lauren say that new information as of the end of daybreak after 7 o'clock or so, 2 more bodies found, means that death count is now up to 13. 4 still missing though, and that's what they're still searching for here.
Yeah, and you know, as that count has advanced, you know, part of that advancing and that continuous motion here down in Branson, there's also been this other side that we didn't really have much time to address last night on the news as we were covering it live on the air. We had an interview with Mayor Karen Best here in Branson. She came down and talked with us at the Table Rock Dam. She had an interesting viewpoint because while we've had to rely on official word, she was in the trenches, if you will.
You knew that she was trying to do what she knew to do best, try and keep in good spirits for the sake of the community there.
Well, you talk about a mayor, and these things don't happen in Branson. I mean, as much tourism as this that occurs here, you don't get these huge instances or huge events like this. I mean, we had the President of the United States relaying his condolences. The governor is down here, but she really talks about just the outpouring of love from the Branson community. The story she shared with me this morning was that she was at City Hall, which the city opened up to accommodate for family members or anybody that may have been impacted by this that maybe needed a place to stay. She talks about a young boy. She didn't know how old he was, but he still had dripping wet socks from having been in Table Rock Lake, from having falling out of the ride there. And a good Samaritan came in, took him to the bathroom, and dried the socks for him. And that's the type of the small things that can make just such a huge impact when it comes to, and it embodies the Ozarks and everything that Branson has to stand for. And that's really what she stood on. She said, in this tragedy, that's kind of the silver lining.
And Lauren, you were telling us a little bit earlier on about the president even weighed in on this earlier today, right?
Yes, Joe and Daniel, that's right. He took to Twitter giving his condolences, saying, quote, "My deepest sympathies to the families and friends of those involved in the terrible boat accident which just took place in Missouri. Such a tragedy, such a great loss. May God be with you." So you can see how many shares and likes there are on that. It truly is making national headlines that, 13 lives have been lost. And Daniel, I heard you talking about your conversation with Karen Best and really how the Branson community is rallying around this tragedy. We saw some video that you shot earlier this morning, too, while you were talking about that, of those roses, white roses that were placed on the vehicles that have been left in the parking lot of the Ride the Ducks in Branson. What was it like? Can you talk about that for a minute, driving past and seeing those cars still there, and also seeing that, someone had taken the time to stop by there?
Well, Karen Best also talked about when they brought these families in to the City Hall. At one point, there was one-on-one counseling, and these were counselors. They weren't paid. They were volunteers. They said, "I can help. I'm trained in this profession. I'm trained in crisis situations. I'm going to do what I can to help the community."
Right.
And if you've been in Branson, you're well aware that, Highway 76 is the main artery through Branson, and there on the left-hand side,
Just right off the road.
right off the road, is the Ride the Ducks. And if you haven't ridden the Ducks before, you park in that parking lot, and then you load up on these amphibious vehicles. They drive on the road, and then they seamlessly glide into the water. In that parking lot, there are cars that didn't make it home last night.
Cars were still out there, and an anonymous Good Samaritan decided to put a white flower on each windshield there. Just a moving scene to see, even at the hour that we were out there.
It was an eerie feeling. It was a somber feeling. It was, I don't know. I mean, you're in the midst of this tragedy, yet you see really the hope in humanity, and you're reminded that the Ozarks is this place of embodiment and caring for people and loving your neighbor.
And that brings us to that attraction, Ride the Ducks. It's a water-based attraction there, and it's something that amphibious vehicles is what we were talking about. We looked at some of those boats that were out on the pavement, and there was life jackets up there. Still not sure yet if life jackets were worn at the time that this happened. Just last night. And then also the propeller that we saw is something that was a little interesting, just in the size of it, I felt like.
Yeah, and we got a lot of comments on Facebook, as you can imagine. We've posted stories, and a lot of people are adamant of saying they shouldn't have been out there. We did a quick history on these boats.
Right.
We call them ducks, and they are ducks. It's an acronym that the government made. They actually got their stardom in World War II.
Starting all the way back there about the beaches in Normandy, you were saying.
Yeah, so these are the same boats that brought our troops onto the beaches of Normandy back in the 1940s. And then, really the idea behind these ducks was that they could go from sea to land, drop the troops off, and then get back out to sea safely.
And then they turned into being a tourist attraction.
Yeah, it really wasn't in 1945 that people started looking at this and looking at a place like Branson. We have gorgeous scenery. Highway 76 is absolutely phenomenal, not only during the day, but if you've seen it at night, just the marquee signs. And then, of course, you've got staples like Table Rock Lake behind us. And so it finally started to get into that kind of that staple of having to deal with the tourist attractions.
Yeah, so Lauren, we're still awaiting that press conference right now, but still a lot to unpack throughout the day as this goes on.
Yeah, Daniel, Joe, absolutely. You're talking about the history of the duck boats. We also have some other history to tap into. You might recall other high-profile incidents around duck boats really across America when, tragedies like this have unfortunately struck before. If we go back to the summer of 1999, a duck boat sank while floating on Lake Hamilton in Arkansas, so that's pretty local here around the Ozarks. That tragedy killed 13 of the 20 people on board, and some information surrounding it. The boat began taking on water quickly, sinking just only in a matter of minutes. The company in that instance continued to operate, but Daniel, as you said, the boats can go on land and then into the water. So in that case, the boat there refrained from entering the water, but still operated on land kind of as a tourist vessel. And then also a case in Philadelphia back in 2010, a Ride the Ducks boat collided with a barge on the Delaware River, sending that boat and its 35 passengers underwater. 2 of the passengers in that case, a 16 and 20-year-old, were killed. We also know the driver of the tugboat who was pushing the barge, admitted to being distracted by his cell phone, and he spent a year in prison. So, you know, you talk about social media. I think that's also something we've seen is comments about, you know, the danger in the past.
All right, it looks like that press conference is getting ready to start. Let's check out right now the latest information that we can get. Let's go to the podium.
And it looks right now as if Governor Mike Parson, as well as some emergency responders, are walking up to the podium. This is a live look. Yes, you can see Governor Mike Parson right there, dressed in all black, followed by some Missouri State Highway Patrol troopers. And they are heading to a press conference, which we've been expecting all morning now, scheduled to start at 9 a.m. And let's see what they have to say.
I just want to take this time. I know you've all been waiting patiently. It's been a long night, long morning. It's been a joint investigation with Stone County Sheriff's Department, Taney County Sheriff's Department, Branson PD, Missouri Highway Patrol, Christian County Sheriff's Office, and then all the fire personnel that have been involved in this. I'm going to speak, Governor's going to speak, and then I'll take some questions after that. This is an ongoing investigation and will be somewhat limited on what we can answer. At this time, we have 13 confirmed fatalities. Missouri Highway Patrol dive team recovered 2 more bodies last night. Missouri Highway Patrol dive team is going back in the water this morning to try to recover the 4 that we still have missing. Again, I said it's been a long night and been a very trying night, and please keep all of our families that are involved and all of our first responder personnel in your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want for all Missourians to know our thoughts and prayers are with the families and the victims in this tragic event that's occurred down here. Needless to say, it's the things that have occurred in the last 24 hours are heartfelt. It's a sad occasion, a lot of people involved, a lot of families involved with us down here on vacation trying to enjoy time, and ends up with an incident like this. So the one thing I want to thank all the responders that have been down here. I want to thank the sheriff. I want to thank the city of Branson. I want to thank the Missouri State Highway Patrol, their dive team who's still out in the water and will continue to be out in the water, and all the other resources. I know the Coast Guard's here. There's multiple agencies have come together to try to help with this tragic event, to bring some sort of conclusion to it. Needless to say, again, myself and the First Lady, our thoughts and prayers right now are with these family members that are here, going to have to deal with this tragedy. We as a state will do everything within my powers to make sure that they all have the resources here they need to come to a conclusion on this incident and to finish with the investigation of this tragedy, that we know what the outcome of it was and what those results will be. But right now, our main focus, all of us should be, and across this country, should be our thoughts and our prayers should be with the members that have been involved, the family members that are out there, the family members that are in the hospital, and for the families to get here safely, to be reunited with some of their members that are here. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to the sheriff to let him answer some more questions. But the main thing I wanted to say this morning, the state of Missouri is going to do everything within our powers to make sure that we provide the resources needed to complete this. And 2, that I ask for all Missourians for their thoughts and their prayers for the families and victims of this incident. Thank you.
I also wanted to thank Hersham Family Properties and the Branson Bell. They have been over backwards helping us here, along with the Chateau. We've had an outpouring of love and support from all over the country, and we appreciate that. I'll dispel any rumors that the Hersham Family Properties does not own the ducks. I know I've seen that on some media outlets, but they do not own the ducks, so we can dispel that rumor right now. I will take a few questions.
Sheriff, you've been talking with them. You said that they've been cooperating. Do you have any idea of the cause yet?
Again, it's too early in the investigation. The Coast Guard is here investigating. NTSB will also have they'll be helping NTSB in an investigation. that will be up to for them to decide.
Sheriff, this was a very large storm system that came from the north, Hickory-Dade County into Greene County and down to Taney and Stone. Do you know whether the captain and staff checked the forecast before setting out on the lake?
I do not have any idea.
Sheriff, were two of the owners the survivors?
I'm sorry?
Were two of the owners survivors?
Owners?
Yes, two of the owners, the operators.
They were not owners. There was a captain and a driver that was on the boat.
Are they survivors?
The captain did survive.
Did the driver not survive?
No, ma'am.
What can you tell us about the victims?
As far as
Age range. Age range.
right now, we're still working with families and making notifications. So at this time, I'm not giving that information out.
What time did the boat go in the water?
The first call came into our 911 center at 7:09 p.m.
Did they try to retrieve?
I'm sorry?
The call that the boat was in trouble?
All I know is the first call came into Central about the boat going underwater.
Do we know if they tried to retrieve any safety measures, either life jackets or anything of the sort?
I do not know.
What do you know about the life jackets? What do you know about the life jackets to begin with? Were they on the boat? Where were they on the dock? And,
From what I understand, there was life jackets in the dock.
Was anybody wearing them?
I can't answer that question.
Have you had a chance to speak to any other survivors about that?
I have not.
Those that were found alive, were they wearing life jackets? And same for the victims?
Again, we're early in the investigation, and I don't have an answer to that.
Mr. Governor, would you like to see any changes to the laws for the life jackets when it relates to children, or just having them on there in case it's an option? What would you like to see change?
Let me just make one comment. There are a lot of questions are being asked here. I think it's going to take time to know the details of everything that's occurred. The sheriff, the highway patrol, a lot of people involved trying to answer all the questions that you're asking this morning. It's going to take some time to really be able to answer those questions on that. We don't know what the status of all the events yet. That's still under investigation. Until that investigation is completed, I don't think it's my place or anyone's place to speculate all the things that could have happened or why they happened. I think it's important that we find out for sure exactly what events did occur and then be able to release that at some point, and that will happen eventually, but today it's just still early. And the sheriff and his people and all the people behind me that's been working, they've been up on this thing for a long time, and it's just a matter of bringing all these details together. At a point, that will happen.
Is the lake open to the public right now?
I'm sorry?
Is the lake open to the public right now?
Yes, lake is open to the public. Yes, sir.
You just talk about this all happening instantaneously, some of the heroism that happened there on the lake when this tugboat went down, the people who stepped in to save those people in the lake.
From what I understand, I had a Stone County deputy that was on the Branson Bell doing off-duty security. He was involved in the rescue. There was employees of the Branson Bell that jumped in and helped with rescue, and there was even passengers that was getting on the Branson Bell assisted in rescuing people.
To think that people did that, that's standard.
Yes, that is very outstanding. And again, I'll tell everybody, if there's somebody out there with a video of this, please send it to our Stone County Sheriff's Office Facebook page. We would like to retrieve any videos we can of the incident that happened for our investigation and for NTSB and the Coast Guard's investigation.
I know you can't answer the question, but are you wondering whether it was an operator error, a design error in the vessel because of the weather? What are you wondering?
I can't answer that question.
Were the windows open or closed on the boat?
It's hard to tell. It looks, I can't tell if they're clear windows or if they were open. It's hard to tell in the videos we have seen so far.
Sheriff, the company that owns the boat, are they still in operation today?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Still cooperating with you?
They were here last night throughout the whole night with us and cooperating anything we needed. So I know they've put out a press today too, but I haven't seen it, so I don't know. The Highway Patrol divers have located it. They know where it's at. It will be recovered probably later today.
Sheriff, we're hearing a Branson leader was on the boat at the time of the incident. Can you confirm or deny that?
I'm sorry?
A Branson leader was on the boat at the time?
Nah, I don't know anything about that.
What about the off-duty officer or off-duty deputy that was on the boat at the time?
What about it?
Was he a survivor?
Oh yeah, he was on the Branson Bell, not on the dock. He was on the Branson Bell and jumped in and helped.
Was the boat upside down?
I'll take one more question.
Was the boat upside down? How did you put that boat?
I believe Yes, I believe it's in about 80 foot of water. It landed, I believe, in about 40 foot of water and rolled down into 80 foot of water. No, it's on its wheels.
Where do you go from here, Sheriff?
This is, like I said, NTSB will be here shortly. The Coast Guard, the Highway Patrol. I mean, this is a huge joint investigation between all of us. We're just working together this time to try to figure out exactly what did happen and recovery mode for the bodies we're still missing.
Mr. Governor, we know the President tweeted about this situation probably an hour ago. What kind of conversation have you had with him?
You know, I have not spoken to the President directly. We do know he knows of the incident and has been briefed. Our staffs have been talking to one another. We were traveling in the southeast portion of the state yesterday evening late, so we've been in travel here the morning to get here. You know, I go back to what I said originally in my statement. Right now it's just a time for thoughts and prayers. There's a lot of healing has to take place right now, and right now that's the story that we all should be facing. I know everybody wants to know the details, and all those details will come in time, but for right now it's about really trying to protect the families, to unite the families, and to deal with the situations they're in. I think that's the most important thing. Thank you very much for being here today. Thank you.
I will say I know that you'll still be calling with questions. You can call my office and leave a message, and I will try to get back to you. I've been, of course, overwhelmed with all of you trying to call and get a hold of us. Jason Pace with the Missouri Highway Patrol is also available to answer any questions, so you can try to get in contact with us if you have more questions. But thank you for coming today.
Will you have another news conference this afternoon?
Not that we have scheduled yet, no.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
One last thing, Sheriff. Have the family members been notified?
All right, that concludes that press briefing that we had there for from the Stone County Sheriff and from Governor Mike Parson, just trying to update us on this situation going on about the Ride the Duck boat that overturned and sunk yesterday, and now 13 reported dead, right?
13 reported dead. They recovered 4 last night. There are still 4 people missing in the waters here on Table Rock Lake. An interesting display of people and support behind Sheriff Doug Rader here in Stone County. You saw Jason Pace with the Missouri State Highway Patrol. You also saw Karen Best and, of course, Governor Mike Parson coming down and making this trip.
And he spoke, and it sounded like when he interjected in his last statement there, it almost sounded like he didn't want any finger pointing or any blaming happening now. He just wants to focus on the investigation. And then the governor's main message for Missourians was to just keep the families, the victims, in your thoughts and your prayers as this goes on. He asks the whole state to do that.
Yeah, and the governor really just pointed out, he said, you know, there's a lot of questions of why they were on the water. Was this driver error? Were these boats safe? Was there life jackets involved? At one point, the governor was also asked, are you in support of stricter life jacket rules, right, especially for children? And the governor at that point taking a stand and saying, we're not pointing the finger like you mentioned. Take some time. We have the Coast Guard on scene. We have divers in the water. This is going to take some time to figure out, and that was really his approach.
To that point, they wouldn't comment on if life jackets were being worn at that time or not, because the investigation is still ongoing and they are still sweeping that area. The lake is open to the public, but if we take a look just to our right over here, they're still having certain areas roped off and crews are still out on that water. If you can see through there, we haven't been able to go through that area at all either just yet, but it is still an ongoing search that's happening right now.
And the Missouri State divers actually are out there, and they have actually located this boat. They haven't recovered the boat yet, though, so they're still searching for those missing people. They know where this boat is, and they plan to take out the boat from the water later today was the timeline on that. But like you mentioned, the lake is open to the public at this point.
And we still have a lot more to uncover with all this. Of course, we'll keep you guys updated online all the time. We still have midday to get to as well, but let's go back to you, Lauren, for now.
Joe and Daniel, thank you for that debrief right there. Another crucial thing I think to mention as a takeaway from that press conference, a lot of the numbers were still the same that we knew this morning. 13 fatalities so far, 4 are still missing. But a new piece of information is that the 2 crew members, we now know their fate. The captain, Sheriff Doug Rader, there said survived this accident. The driver, however, we just learned is dead. And we also want to show you a statement on Facebook from the Ride the Ducks Branson. which says, "We are deeply saddened by the tragic accident that occurred at Ride the Ducks Branson. This incident has deeply affected all of us. Words cannot convey how profoundly our hearts are breaking. We will continue to do all we can to assist the families who were involved and the authorities as they continue with the search and rescue. The safety of our guests and employees is our #1 priority. Ride the Ducks will be closed for business while we support the investigation and to allow time to grieve for the families and the community. Thank you for your support, and we ask that your thoughts and prayers be with the family during this time." And of course, we will be working to bring you as many updates as we can between now and our next newscast, which will be at 11.